Yes, it does.
So I'm just going to pop this right here.
Go ahead.
So it works out really well because he's a fisherman.
Yeah, right.
There's
Lots of pockets.
everywhere. It won't always be that
Yeah, right.
convenient.
Okay.
All right. But we are recording here. We are recording here. And we have Kurt, take one.
And you've been interviewed before, so you know.
Sure.
Restate the question as you can.
Yep.
That is nice light right there.
Okay, so if you could just start by saying, repeating your name, how long you've been a Florida resident.
My name is Kurt Zulsdorf. I've been a Florida resident for about 30 years. I've spent most of my life on, in, and around the water, in water sports. And here currently I operate Kayak Nature Adventures for the past 14 years here in Gulfport, Florida.
Could you spell your name, please?
Kurt, K-U-R-T, last name Z-U-E-L-S-D-O-R-F, Zulsdorf.
Okay. Well, are you familiar with the dumping problem?
Absolutely, yeah. Having been on the water, like I said, for as long as I have, water is everything to us. Not just me here, but to life in general. In Clam Bayou Nature Park, where I do my operation, it's a very integral estuary in our region. All life begins with the water, and especially in our estuaries where all the fish are hatched. The crabs, the shellfish, and other mammals come and go from our estuaries. So I'm constantly monitoring the water quality to not only keep an eye and observe wildlife, but also for my clients, protection. I can't send people out into our waterways if we've got some high levels of contamination.
Okay, so you have noticed an impact on your business. So.
Absolutely. It was 2 years ago, I believe. It was devastating to me. I lost about $75,000 in income because of the not the spill, the intentional dumping of raw sewage into Clam Bayou Nature Park.
Make sure you're not doing that. Oh. I know it's kind of a nature.
Yeah, natural.
But we can't have that on there.
Have you had any complaints about the water quality from
Yeah.
people you're familiar with?
Oh, sure. Yeah, for several months after the sewage was dumped, there was a smell, obviously. So people were coming out and complaining about the smell. You couldn't really see the contamination in the water because it was all fluid. It was no solids. So therefore you couldn't see anything. The only thing that I noticed is that all the wildlife left. Everything. Now we're very fortunate here in Florida to have over 575 different species of birds that live here year round. In the wintertime coming up now, we go to well over 800. So a lot of these birds come into our nature parks and into our estuaries to feed on the fish. Because of the dumping, the oxygen levels dropped in the water. The fish left, therefore the birds left, everything left. So it was eerily quiet for several months. There were no ospreys circling, which they usually are all day long. The egrets, the pelicans, everything left. Now, a year and a half or so later, the birds have come back, but not in the numbers that we have seen prior to the spill.
Do you think the city is doing enough to clean and fix these issues?
Well, to clean it, there's not a lot they can do. Once it gets into our massive waterways, we don't have a chance of cleaning it up. So obviously it depends on fixing the infrastructure. I believe that Pinellas County has over 1,000 miles of pipes, sewage pipes, that have to be repaired. That's a huge task. It's almost overwhelming. Maybe that's why it hasn't been done before, because it's just become so large that the idea of fixing it is overwhelming to them. So fixing the problem is going to be the long-term answer. But in the meantime, we all, as residents and responsible for our own water, have to take care of what we can. Like during heavy storms, limit flushing and putting water down the drain. We have to do whatever we can. Most people don't have a clue that the water that we are looking at today on our planet is the exact same water that has been here since the beginning of time. When you think about that, you think, wow, we have to take care of this stuff. Who else but us is going to take care of it? So we've all got to, take responsibility for what's going on here.
Have you noticed any effects on your business as far as customer volume?
Customer volume, yeah, oh sure, absolutely. When BP had their oil spill, that threat did not reach here, but yet in the eyes of tourism, it was real. So therefore, we took a tremendous shot here. I mean, a real downfall in business. Well, the same thing has occurred to me personally. I don't know about many of the other businesses around that operate on the water, but for me, this was a much bigger accident or tragedy than the BP oil spill, because so many stories were written about it, published about it, online about it, that when you go to Kayak Gulfport or Kayak Clam Bayou, the top stories have to do with sewage. Would you come and kayak in it? So people that I had to cancel for several months face to face just say, well, we can't send you out today. Well, why? It's a beautiful day. And I have to tell them, the chances are they're not going to come back. They're going to say, oh, remember that place we wanted to go to, but it was full of sewage? So this particular incident is going to have a long-term effect on me and other waterway businesses.
So you were having to cancel clients?
Oh, yeah. $75,000 worth. I had to cancel. Every day, turn away people with money standing here was some of the hardest work I had ever done in my 15 years of business here.
Have you brought those numbers and figures to the city in any way?
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're very, very familiar with me and with my problems that I've had here because of that. I don't get a lot of support from anybody from the city, either city, St. Pete or Gulfport, in regards to helping me fix the problem or helping me get back on my feet. There's been nothing.
Well, you were a great interview.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. I know this is an easy question for you to answer, but I'm going to ask you to answer it anyway,
Yep.
so it's on tape.
Yep.
Do you feel like your elected officials are doing everything they can to try to fix this problem?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they've got the plans in place. They've got the money set aside. St. Petersburg is almost finished with one of the expansions of the Albert Whitted. No, of the Albert Whitted plant. Is that the one they expanded, or the one at Eckerd? Did they do that one too? They've got the plans put in place to do that. Gulfport has just finished a pond, a retention pond, to catch stormwater runoff that, in our case here in Gulfport, because we're so low to the water, the streets back up. They flood up into the streets with sewage. So now those streets are now being funneled into a retention pond to capture it and try to dilute it before it does get into our waterways. So is it the best plans? No. But, like I said before, it's such a daunting task to try to fix that it's going to take a long time to get that done.
So do you feel like it's headed in the right direction?
Yes. Not fast enough, but I believe it's heading in the right direction. When we come up on things like this, it's important to realize that this is where the best ideas come from, is when our backs are against the wall. If you stick with it and you believe in yourself, you can come up with great ideas that might help in the transition. One of the ideas that I came up with and I delivered to the state several months ago was to possibly get one of BP's oil tankers that has been decommissioned, park it outside of St. Petersburg, outside the old pier where the pipe goes into the bay, half mile, connect it right to the ship. Whenever there's an overspill, pump it right onto the ship. And then when the emergency is done, pump it back into the system. It doesn't get into our water. A tank can hold several 100,000 gallons. That was pretty much laughed at, believing it was impossible until the next spill occurred. And then they started thinking, maybe. But why not? Why not have something like that? BP has a couple of those tankers sitting around. Let's anchor one up, turn on the pumps. Every municipality that has that problem could do that feasibly. Decorate the ship, make it look like a playground, make it look like a fishing platform, do whatever you want. But certainly that's a fast answer, a quick answer, but most people don't get behind that one.
And you haven't heard any support about that
No.
idea?
No, what's his name? Latvia?
Yeah.
Latvala. He delivered that to a public meeting here last year. And he did it out of the side of his face with a smile and a chuckle, but that conversation didn't get too much further beyond that.
Is there anything else that you want to add or to have addressed by your experience?
No, I think I'm good. Hey, kid. I was wondering if it was you.
That was so awesome.
That was great. Thank you.
Thanks.
We need to get room tone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, sure.